What's up, guys? Rob here, Vance Warped Tour, hanging out with Spencer from Ice Nine Kills. What's up, dude?
Doing well, man. Glad to be here on the first day. Last Warped Tour, very excited.
Tour. Sad to say, sad to say.
I know, it's sad, but I'm honored to be a part of it. Grew up like probably 99% of these bands going to the tour as fans, and it's amazing to be a part of this historical last run.
Right. What does, as a musician, what does Warped Tour mean to you?
It means everything, for me, especially when I started being in bands, beyond, just cover bands when I was in middle school. It sort of was like the pinnacle of making it. To me, it was like once the band got on Warped Tour, it really was the next level and meant that you could really, hopefully, if you hit it right and you played well and you marketed yourself, that Warped Tour could be a launching pad for your band for life, to be a real name act in this world. And it's incredible to come full circle from going to it as a fan to playing it.
Right. Now, do you feel, is there a specific moment that you were on this tour or you experienced this tour that you knew, like, all right, my band is starting to, get new audience. My band is starting to blow up?
Well, for us, as I said, I started going to the tour as a fan, and then when we started the band and really started to pushing through social media and through touring on our own before we had a label or management or anything, we would actually follow the tour, and we followed the entire tour in 2008 and snuck in and sold CDs. And we sold 10,000 albums doing that, going around with iPods and headphones and putting it on people's ears, and to come full circle, and then like a few years later be playing in like a city like Chicago and be playing in front of like 3,000 people, and they're singing the words to the songs, and I'm looking around and being like, I remember this venue, and I remember being out there selling CDs while I was watching Census Fail play or Real Big Fish or Less Than Jake, and being like, one day we're going to be there, and then we eventually got there.
Right. Isn't it kind of sad that that kind of grind that you and a lot of other bands that have been doing for this tour, like a lot of those new artists will never know what that's like. I feel like a lot of those new artists don't even know how to go out and flyer at a show today.
It's a bummer, I think there are a lot of bands maybe that got lucky and kind of just exploded overnight, and obviously you can't blame those guys. You would take it if you got that. But I think the problem eventually rears its head when you blow up overnight and you don't have to flyer and sell CDs in the line, and then you don't appreciate what you have, and you take it for granted because maybe you didn't have to work at it. And I think the bands that paid their dues and put in the time and started at the bottom and really, really worked their way up are the ones that appreciate it more in the long run.
Right. Most definitely. And right now, in the long run for you guys are about to drop the 5th album, The Silver Scream. This record, like, what's so different this time around? Now that you've experienced so many years in this industry, experienced so many different tours, experienced so many 4 previous albums aside from this one, what's new on this record?
I think for me, it's like, our band has always been very horror-centric. We've always tried to tie that in somehow, whether it is in the aesthetic of our videos or the merchandise that we produce or just the general sort of layout of our production at shows. But this was the first record where we're like, we've always had this horror element. Let's go for it, man. Let's really go for it. And instead of just having an influence from Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers or any of those classic films and putting it on a shirt or doing a video like that, let's make the songs about those films that are such a big part of my youth and who I've always been. So I think this was like a no-holds-bar, full court press, let's go for it. And I think that's what's going to be different about it for us. And I think we've just up the game for ourselves.
Now, growing up as a horror fan, like, did you have to do any additional research prior to writing this record, just so those lyrics do make sense when you're writing them?
The songs that we chose, the films that we chose rather, to become songs are so ingrained in my psyche from watching them, so many times over the years, and knowing so much about the franchises that no, I didn't have to rewatch anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, as you were writing these songs, like, what was the biggest challenge that you were facing while writing them?
I think for me, it's just living up to the quality of the film. We don't want to write a song that sucks because these movies are all amazing. So I want to do the film's justice. So I think that was the hardest part. Is this good enough to represent A Nightmare on Elm Street? And I think the reaction to the new song has been really powerful. So I think that it will be strong across the board, and I think everybody's going to love it that likes Ice Nine Kills, and anybody that likes horror and a little bit more aggressive music will connect with it.
Right. What about producers? Anybody specific worked on this record?
We worked with Drew Falk, who was awesome. He's done a lot of stuff for Motionless in White, who are very much in our world with the sort of horror kind of goth aesthetic, and he was a great help to helping us realize our vision. Steve Sobchak at the Square Studios has always been a big part of our writing and a part of our production, and he killed it for us as well. So it was kind of like a team effort. On this album, we brought in a lot of cool guest spots and guest writers from some of my favorite bands growing up that are nowhere near the metal world. We have the singer of Phoenix TX on one of the songs. We have the guitarist Randy from Finch. We have Less Than Jake playing horns on one of the songs. I mean, it's just an all-star cast of the bands that I grew up listening to. Having Will from Phoenix TX be singing on one of our songs is insane.
Awesome.
And then another thing that's cool for the Ice Nine Kills fans is that we brought back the guy that founded the band with me, Jeremy Schwartz, who hasn't been on a record in years, and he even co-wrote and sings on one of the songs. So there's a lot of cool stuff.
So, I mean, what was that experience like, co-writing with him?
It was awesome, man. We sort of broke up, quote unquote, back in like 2009. He just didn't want to live the touring life anymore, and we sort of kind of lost touch, and then reconnected over the last couple years, and then having him be a part of writing again was a really cool experience. It was just like, we thought, is this going to work? We haven't written in so long together, and it was like a natural process, and it was just like we hadn't missed a beat. We wrote great stuff together.
That's incredible. Now the album Silver Scream drops October 5th. Any plans for a proper headline tour for this record?
We are starting to plan out, late 2018 and 2019. I'm sure there will be a big headlining tour coming up, probably sometime in early 2019.